Namaste, everyone. I want to kind of give you a little bit of behind the scenes. Some of you, I'm sure, probably wonder why every once in a while when I'm watching the video do I see like little things floating or flying in front of Michelle. Some of you maybe haven't noticed, but those of you who have, I always begin our events by lighting a little bit of sage, and today I was also shown to throw in some sweetgrass. So if you ever see, some of this stuff and you're wondering, what's all this stuff that's floating around? Oftentimes that's what it is. And so I just want to invite you into this beautiful sacred space today by officially and energetically cleansing you and just letting you know that I do this before every event, just simply to ensure that the space is nice and cleansed. And today I felt guided to show you, in case you're wondering, especially since we're doing such deep inner work today. I want to begin by talking about the definition of intuition. I felt like it would be really appropriate here to kind of give you a little bit of history. I got a lot of smoke. To give you a little bit of history on intuition. So intuition comes from the Latin word intuir, I-N-T-U-I-R, which means knowledge from within. Scientists, they agree that intuition is more instinctual, and it's quick, and it's associative, and that it's primarily prehistoric, and that it comes in the form of limbic and reptilian parts of the brain. There's been a lot of books and a lot of studies that have been written on this, and there's everything from the book Blink, where he talks about how this part of us is really good and can be relied upon. And then there's also studies that say, can't really trust it. It's only for people that are experts. A lot of people have this new development, this understanding of our rational and analytical thoughts and how they're much more deliberate and they're much more slow. And because they're more deliberate and they're more slow, some people feel like that's safer. And so it's much more left-brained. It's much more neocortex or the new brain related. So a lot of study, and there's been some controversy on this, it's been done on the development of intuition. And though following one's gut instinct, you'll hear me talk about that quite a bit, can be very helpful, I also want to just let you know that it can also come with a few disclaimers, and that's why we are taking this really slow and why we've been building up to this. So when not developed properly, as I've kind of talked about, intuition can prove unreliable. And it's been proven this way again and again. It's either because we're stuck in the fact that we're questioning everything, or because our emotions are stuck in the past, or because we don't have all of us, which is part of what our module talks about and goes into today experientially, or it's because we're projecting ourselves somehow into the future, which is preventing us from being in the now. So our guest speaker talked about the amygdala in the brain. And that is, by the way, part of the limbic region. Some of you might go, wait a minute. So I want to address that. Yes, the amygdala is part of the limbic brain, and it does generate fear. And it also alerts us to danger, especially as you begin developing your intuitive skills. And this is why it takes consistency. This is why it takes confidence. And this is why you want to go slow in navigation so that you can be aware, self-awareness. This is why we spent so much time on it, aware of your fight, your flight, or your freeze response. It's proven that it takes 8 weeks of meditative practice before the MRI scans of your brain reveal that fight, flight, freeze region of the brain, that amygdala, seems to shrink. And the prefrontal cortex region of the brain, which is associated with self-awareness and decision-making and accuracy and clarity, begin to then thicken. So this is why spiritual practice has been so key these past few weeks. I just want to tell you lovingly that if you're watching this or participating right now and you have not made the time to go within and to do the inner work and to participate up to this point, I'm lovingly asking you to please stop, exit, go back, do the inner work. This is a really beep, beep, beep disclaimer. Go back, Do not come in unless you are prepared, because today is the day where we call parts of ourselves home, where integration occurs, and where that amygdala will really start rapidly firing off if you haven't done the spiritual practice or the inner work up to this point. So I'm trusting that those of you who are still with me, that you've done the inner work, that you're ready. I'm so excited to be guiding you on this journey. You're moving right now from beginner stage to intermediate. And we're moving up, let's say, a new level, if you want to think linearly a little bit. So up to now, we're focusing on understanding how your intuition works and what your fight, flight, or freeze response is and how it presents itself within you. We're now ready to begin to release the conscious need to know and to trust the higher self to fully take the lead. So imagine that you're kind of switching the control now from conscious thought to intuition. That's what today is all about. You're still aware, by the way, of what's happening. We want to be able to take the left brain with us so that we have that perspective for later on, so we can self-reflect. But we're choosing to hold off on asking questions and choosing to hold off on having meaning and what does this mean or what could this mean until we are done with the experience. Today, we're just going to let go, totally release, and allow it to happen. So for those of you who really enjoy going on soul journeys, you're going to really love today. So a nice understanding of how this works was demonstrated by a neuroscientist. I want to talk about her just briefly so that you can kind of envision kind of how some of this works when it comes to intuition, when you take the time to reprogram your pathways in your brain and to allow the meditation work to really click. So there's a neuroscientist named Beatrice de Gelder who has done extensive research on what she calls blind sight, whereby the people who have lost their eyesight that she's studying due to brain damage are now fully blind, yet they're still able to navigate an obstacle course successfully. Just think about that. Others are able to identify emotion on a person's face without touching the face, even though they can't consciously see anything at all. It's because they've really learned to hone in on their intuition and on their intuitive vision. And these findings are just another way of illustrating that with spiritual practice, we can all strengthen and enhance our intuition, which I personally find very fascinating. I'm going to take a minute and just take a drink here and give you a little bit more of an understanding of where we're going today, why we're going there, and then we're just going to dive in. So today, we're really beginning to move into the depths of any blocks or any conditioned beliefs as it pertains to trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, trusting your inner wisdom. So we're going to be doing what some of you may know as soul retrieval. And I have done soul retrieval now for many, many years in many different ways. There's all different methods for this. According to a book called Dictionary of Word Origins, the term beside himself, some of you said, you know, he seems really like beside himself. That term came to be because ancients believed that the soul and body could part, and that under great emotional stress, the soul would actually leave the body. Thus, the person is then beside himself. Okay, so in order for your intuition to be clear, to be free, I talked about the importance of you being that, that vessel, that receiver, that's reliable. And if not all of you is there, there's going to be kind of a problem. So it's important your vessel be balanced and be whole. Because your energies can sometimes scatter or fragment, this is a necessary step before you learn how to cross the veil. We're at that point now where everything has led up to this, and everything from this point is absolutely essential in order for you to move forward to cross the veil successfully. So to say it another way, if you think of your soul as a pure essence, pure light, Just imagine that for a moment. When the soul embodies into the physical, it then begins, it starts out as wholeness and purity. What happens is trauma, loss, illness, shock will act like cracks in our energy field, and it will cause shatterings to occur. And this can happen at various stages of our life. And once the light, that essence, that soul begins to scatter or starts to flee, we become less healthy and less whole. And for most of us, by the way, it happens very gradually. For most people, it just sneaks up on us. It can be, everything from, there was a loud noise. Some of you have watched my videos. There's a point where I'm out in the woods and I got startled because a deer had come through. And so that's kind of a, and I could call myself home by breathing and calling it back. But sometimes people don't do that. They don't have the tools to do that, or they don't have the understanding or the knowledge to take a moment and do that. And so this can happen again, gradually, and it's little things sometimes. I'm going to give them a piece of my mind, and I'm going to tell them exactly what I think, right? We might think it, or we might say it, or we might feel it. For somebody else in the bigger cities, you might be driving through traffic and someone cuts you off, and so you start to curse them, or you flip them off. You're giving your energy to this person, and it's kind of, allowing it to scatter. And this is human, it's natural. There's no judgment here. We all do it. But this is what happens when we start to lose pieces of ourselves. It could be a little bit more, such as we're breaking up or splitting up or ending something, or kind of calling it quits with a certain job or with a certain relationship. This is all a form of splitting and a form of separating. It can also be a little more major. Some people call it the Humpty Dumpty, where if you know that little kid's story, it's about the Humpty Dumpty and how he sat on the wall, and when he falls, he breaks everywhere. And so this is things like accidents, death, overall distress. It can be very disturbing to your energy field, especially if you don't take the time and regroup, and literally regroup your energies. So many spiritual healers believe that soul loss is a primary reason for lack of energy, for lack of sleep, for causes of depression, for illness. So today, what we're doing is a technique to help you reshift your energies so that you can return to wholeness and fullness again. Some people call this the orphans. They're orphans of your soul. They're kind of orphans that split off from you. It really comes with feelings over time or suddenly, depending on how it happens for you, of devastation, of loss, of feelings of incompletion. You sometimes it's like, gosh, I don't know what's wrong. I don't feel, something's off. I feel disconnected. I'm not quite myself. You may feel out of your body, or you just don't want to be here anymore. Sometimes you feel like you're losing your mind, like what's happening. You may not even be able to really put your finger on it, on why it's happened, because it may have happened long time ago, and now something is disturbed your energy field where that shattering is really noticeable. So many indigenous traditions believe that when a soul part or soul fragments occurs, those pieces of you are moving into the earth, where Mother Earth gathers them up very neatly and securely, keeping them safe until you're ready to claim them again. And so that's part of what our journey is to reclaim those parts of you today. This is all with the intention of gathering parts of us that have to do with trusting our higher self to lead, that have to do with trusting our intuition, that have to do with trusting our receiver with clarity, that have to do with really relying on our inner wisdom to guide us. Those are the parts of us that I'd like for you to set the intention of, that's where we're going today. Is we're journeying, soul journeying lovingly, safely to reclaim those parts again. This is about soul restoration. It's about renewal. And really, as you all know, this comes down to free will. And this is really important, especially today, because your intention really has to be clear and simple. It's to call back scattered pieces of your soul as it pertains to self-trust, so that they can come back to you easily, smoothly, and with grace and with ease. So if you can just kind of feel into that intention and set it for yourself. My role is to help open the sacred space for you. Your role then is to allow yourself to go into a loving, secure place to be able to heal and to be able to call those parts of yourself, those energies, back home. So this is going to entail relaxation, self-trust, of course, because that's what we're claiming again, and transmutation. There'll be a time where you're going to be journeying into the earth. You will retrieve your energies and allow that beautiful, pure essence, that wholeness, that light to return gently to your soul. And afterward, and if anybody's ever done this before, I have before many times, you feel lighter, you feel brighter, you feel more harmonized, you feel more joyous, you feel more clear, you feel more renewed. So I always look at this like it's kind of like a spring cleaning or a fall cleaning for the soul. It's not something that you're going to want to do often, by the way. It's not something that you're going to want to just keep doing. I know some of you like to go back and watch these recordings a few times. This is something you're not really going to want to do any more than once or twice. Use and follow your truth. You're moving a lot of energies around, and so you want to be gentle with yourself and only do it a couple times a year. Be very patient over the next few days, please, and over the next week and over the next month, because you're really giving yourself permission to fully integrate. Just kind of a heads up, there'll come a point today in the meditation where I'm going to ask you to stand up. So please be in a space where you can stretch. You're not going to see me stand because, as you see, I'm kind of like in a little bit of a corner back here. But I'm going to ask you and invite you to actually stand, where you can stand, where you can move, where you can stretch. So have enough room where you, if you needed to, you could spread your arms and kind of do a full circle and turn around. That's going to be helpful for a lot of you who are interested in taking the soul journey. So allow your higher self to lead you. Remember, that's important. And really begin to accept what occurs in your healing inner landscape, because that's what we are. We're going into the inner landscape, into the earth of who we are, retrieving these parts of our soul. Remember that the boundaries here that we've all set together are of love, are of grace, are of ease, and trust that your spirit helpers are with you to assist you. Now, what's going to happen is part of the journey, you're going to hear me mention a spiritual helper coming in to assist you on the soul journey, going into the earth. For some of you, it may be a nature spirit. For some of you, you're going to know exactly, oh my gosh, this is an animal, or this is a former pet who's passed on, or maybe it's a pet in this lifetime. You can feel the spirit. Sometimes it might be an insect or what feels like a reptile or bird. Just totally allow it. It's totally all right. Just follow whatever comes in. There's no judgment here. Just trust that they're going to help you journey into the earth, into this beautiful sacred space where these pieces, these parts of your soul have dispersed. Know that on this journey that these beings are very loving, they're very gentle, they're very kind. They wouldn't be here otherwise, because those are the boundaries that we've set. So we can place our faith and trust in their leading the way. And I just want to quote Albert Einstein for just a moment, who said, "God always takes the simplest way." God always takes the simplest way. So think about this as really being your faithful soul retrieval guide. Someone who knows how to get you here efficiently, gently, quickly, and in a way that's going to really serve you overall. What we're going to do now is you're going to see me dim the lights. I want to be able to do that so the focal point isn't so much on me, but it's on yourself. As I do that, I ask you to please close your eyes and really begin to set that intention. Again, that intention is to be able to call back, to call home to yourself those pieces that represent self-trust that you may have somehow along the way allowed them to disperse and they've gotten away from you a bit. And so you feel a little split or divided or lost or displaced. We're just going to call them home again to reintegrate you back into wholeness again. Okay, so I'm dimming the lights now. Here we go. And I'd like for you to bring your attention to your breathing, bring your attention to your breath. And as you're bringing your attention to your breath, your energy field, notice the area in front of you. Notice the area behind you, to the left of you, to the right of you, above you, and below you. Draw in a few more deep breaths. And I'd like for you to allow your attention to move right to the top of your head for a moment. And as it's moving to the top of your head, I'd like for you to imagine a beautiful invocation, let's call it, that's helping prepare you for this beautiful ceremony. And allow this to come in any form that feels good to you. It may be the form of water or the form of light. It may feel like air. It may be a certain temperature or a certain color. Just allow it to begin to move through you in a gentle, peaceful way, starting at the top of your head. And as it begins to smoothly glide through the crown area, I'd like for you to allow it to begin to release any energies that you might have taken on that are not your own. We really, in order to take this journey, want to make sure that we're only going in with our energies. And a lot of you on this who are drawn to my work, you're similar to me in that you're an empath. And we really want to be able to clear the field. And so we're going to start with the top of the head and just release any energies that are not our own. Slowly, the top of the crown and at the forehead. You might even feel like a transformation occur as it slides down over the eyes and into the temples. And you're just going to notice it come down the face. Feel it in the ears and the jawline, the back of the head, through the nose and the top of the lips, the back of the mouth and the jaw, over the tongue, through the teeth, down into the chin, releasing anything that you may have taken on that's not your own, someone else's opinion of you, someone else's ideas or thoughts that didn't feel like your truth. Just allow yourself to cleanse now, top of the head all the way down into the throat now. Anything that your ears might have picked up that didn't feel good, just allow them to release. Good. Back of the neck. Anything, any tension you might have been holding or carrying, expectations that others placed on you, that you've been holding or carrying, just release. We're going to allow that to come down into the shoulders and over the arms. And as it comes down into the arms, it's also working through the chest, along the spine. feeling it over the shoulders, the caps of the shoulders, into the biceps and the triceps, releasing, exhaling, down into the elbows. If you have your arms at your side, you can also kind of follow the path where it's now right at the hips. Is anything in that line of your organs, anything that didn't sit well with you or digest well with you or feel good to you, just release. And allow it to slowly and gently come down the hips and into the thighs. And just allow it to slough off this beautiful release over the knees, down the feet, just off the end of the toes. Top of the head, all the way down the neck, down the spine, down the tailbone, down the back of the legs. Just imagine yourself stepping out of that old energy. Good. As you continue to breathe and recognize this beautiful cleansing, this beautiful healing, recognize your breath. And notice where in your body you're being guided to draw your attention, to bring your attention to. And just breathe in and out from there for just a moment. And as you draw your attention to it, be sure that as you're noticing it, that you're not noticing from your head, but rather you're actually in it. And you're breathing in and out with your focal point there. In and out, nice and slow. And now I'd like for you to quietly ask yourself for your helping spirit there to guide you into the earth, to come into your awareness, to come into your presence, and trust whatever first pops in is correct. Just notice that it's here to help you retrieve your self-trust, your primal power. Just sit with that for a moment. Recognizing that where you were drawn to bring your attention in terms of your body is the starting point. So as you breathe in and out, keeping your awareness there, this is where you're going to meet and feel this helping spirit who's here to guide you into the earth. And just recognize that this being is here to help you retrieve your self-trust. Notice how it's here to assist you with regaining and reclaiming all parts of yourself around the trust, around the confidence, around the primal power. Now, in a moment, you may notice what feels like an entry or a pocket or a portal, some type of invitation that the spirit helper is offering you. Just be aware of how you're being guided to move into it. This is your entry to the earth, and it's a special entry just for you. In a moment, you're going to hear me count from 1 to 3. And as I say 3, allow yourself to come through that entry, that portal, in whatever way you're being guided, in a nice, gentle, easy way, until you can feel yourself coming out into a region of pristine beauty. In maybe a forest or an ocean or a mountain or another place in nature. Trust whatever comes in for you. It will happen gracefully and naturally and easily. Just know that this is a special place for self-empowerment to occur. So continuing to breathe as you recognize this invitation, this entry, this portal. Being aware of how you're being guided to move into it. Recognizing this is a special entry just for you. And 1, 2, and 3. Giving yourself permission now to follow where you're being led. Deeper and deeper. And 1, 2, and 3. Just noticing now where you're coming out. It's going to feel like a region, and it's always a pristine beauty. You'll know it, you'll be able to feel it because it will be nice and bright. It will feel very secure in every way. Just notice the temperatures here. Be aware of the colors. And just give yourself permission to really nestle in. It's here that you're going to begin to reunite with your soul energies around self-trust. Those energies that may have scattered or broken away long ago, or maybe recently. And as you begin to recognize how you're being guided to nestle in, and you give yourself permission to settle in, you'll feel these energies slowly beginning to reveal themselves. These energies around self-trust. Much like a holograph, you're becoming more aware of those self-trust lights, those essences within you that release from the body, that are part of your soul, Just notice how you can easily sense those energies all around you as you fully come to know and trust what's ever coming in. There may be different time periods in your life. You might start seeing yourself at different ages or recognizing different symbols or events. For some of you, it's just simply a knowingness or a feeling. Just understand that you can rely on whatever's coming in. And you may or may not even be aware of how or when each part began to leave the body, or the circumstances around why the fragmentation occurred. So to make it a little easier and to really get a sense of where in your body the self-trust disconnection occurred, I'd like for you to bring your attention first into your head. Not only the front of your head, but the back of your head, into your face, along the back of your neck, and into your throat. We know now that all the energies that you're allowing yourself to notice are your own. And you'll also begin to recognize any areas that feel split off or disconnected in terms of these areas. So as you bring your attention into your head, the back of the head, the neck, the throat, notice any displaced energies that occurred during times when you gave yourself a piece of your mind where you might have started yelling at yourself, when you were upset at yourself, when you had thoughts about yourself that weren't congruent to your truth. When you might have even said things aloud. Just recognize all those times and all what might feel like holograph energies scattered around you. Be also aware of any of the times that you gave others a piece of your mind, either by thinking it or saying it, all as it relates to not trusting yourself, all as it relates to worrying or fretting or doubting your gifts, your talents, your wisdom, your soul path. And remember, it's not important to understand why the shattering occurred. Just trust your inner guidance to help you easily begin to call back those energies home, so your entire head area begins to feel wholeness again. Allow it to be unique to you. Your spirit helper is here to assist you in reclaiming these energies once again. As you do this, you may sense or feel white light of healing and divinity filling your crown, immersing Every pore in your head, the back of your neck, your face, down the throat, allowing it to feel healthy and whole again. Just continue to allow these energies to come back home. And whether or not you're conscious of it, this beautiful healing light of wholeness and health begins to flow down through the crown of your head, down into your face, the back of your neck, down through the throat, allowing you to feel more balanced, more complete once again in terms of your thoughts, in terms of your words, in terms of how you see the world and how you perceive through your senses of taste, of sight, of sound, of smell. Bringing your attention into your heart. I'd like for you to notice where it is that you feel shattered or broken or disconnected. It may be in the front of your body, it may be behind you. Often it pertains to love or trust, opening our hearts, giving ourselves to others in the form of friendship or companionship. Giving a piece of our heart. Any traumas, any triggers, any transitions, any tragedies. Simply notice any emotions or distresses pertaining to soul fragmentation around self-trust. Times that you might have felt upset at yourself for trusting, upset at yourself for loving. And other times when you allowed yourself to fragment because of too much pain around certain people's ideas or event. As you recognize these holographic energies and fragmentations of light, I'd like for you to give yourself permission to once again breathe in that healing light. Allow your spirit helper to guide you to reclaim these energies, to call them home. And whether or not you're conscious of it, that beautiful healing light flows down through your head, through your face, through your neck, through your throat, down into your shoulders, breathing it in through your lungs, allowing it to be felt by the heart. Taking some deep breaths as you bring your awareness into your stomach and into your reproductive organs, your digestive tract. Recognizing pieces of your soul, things about yourself you may have a hard time digesting, things about others that might have caused you to separate from yourself because you couldn't stomach it anymore. Anything around the energies of allowing the higher self to lead that had to do with trusting yourself, trusting your tribe, trusting your community, trusting your placement in this earth. Recognizing the holographic energies around you, aware of how they may fit or connect within the body, and beginning to lovingly call them home. Allowing that beautiful healing light to come in from the top of the head all the way down now through the heart, into the stomach, into the tailbone, embodying the soul more and more, calling those energies back home. And whether or not you're consciously aware of it or not, that beautiful healing energy expanding, healing, opening up your trust centers, your receptive energies. Taking a nice big breath, allowing your attention to move into your arms, your legs, your limbs, staying nice and relaxed. Noticing any times that you might have kicked or hit or used your fingers or your limbs to give parts of you off into different directions. Perhaps there was anger or upset, trauma or confusion or distress. Just recognize the energies and whether or not you consciously aware as to why they're there. You trust your spirit helper to guide you in collecting these parts of yourself as well, allowing them to come back fully into the body. Into the arms, into the hands and the fingers and the thumbs. Into the wrists and the forearms and the elbows. Into the shoulders and the hips. Into the thighs and the knees. Into the shins and the calves and the ankles. Feeling it in every toe. And allowing that beautiful light now to move into open, just like when you pull back a curtain, that beautiful light now coming through the top of the head, all the way down, 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 out through your fingers, out through your toes, feeling it through the tailbone, feeling it all the way down, 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 allowing yourself to be into those energies. Taking just a moment and noticing if there's any energies around self-trust that are still lingering a bit. If so, ask your helping spirit, your nature spirit, your animal, your insect, your bird, your reptile, whatever it may be for you, to assist in calling it back into your energy field, calling it back home. And as you allow this beautiful energy to reintegrate back into your energy field, recognize that from a spiritual level, you've recollected it. And from an emotional level, it may take a couple days or even weeks to process it. We're now going to allow it to begin to embody at a physical and intellectual level. And so I'd like for you to allow your helping spirit to assist you in emerging from the earth, much like a beautiful plant that begins to grow and sprout from the soil. Just notice how it is you're being guided to spring forth from the earth. And as you come up, I'd like for you to slowly stand up so that you're rising comfortably. And allow your feet to come about shoulder width apart. Should that feel good to you, remember to follow your truth. And as you continue to breathe rhythmically and naturally, allow your hands to begin to move in a way that really helps you call those energies home. It might feel like you're sweeping them in, gathering them in, drawing them into the physical body. And as you do this, I'd like for you to imagine that you're winding all of these energies so closely into the body that it almost feels like you're tightening them onto some type of spool. As quickly and as gently as you can, allow your body to feel like it's a spool, and that the energies are coming in you rather than around you. They're coming through you. And as you do this, you may notice your body wishes to move or sway in a certain way. Allow it. Know that it's reliable. And when you feel like those energies have been reclaimed and wound as tight as can be, I'd like for you to envision or imagine, or if you're more of a kinesthetic person, you can actually use your hands and use your thumb to release that tautness and allow those energies to begin to spring back and to disperse wherever they may go, wherever they wish to go, wherever they belong in your body again, as you continue to breathe naturally and rhythmically, allowing them to gently, safely, lovingly disperse, to fall back in place. As this is happening, if it feels good to you, you may even want to bring your hands into a prayer position, or perhaps hold them over your heart, or allow your palms to open as you allow the energies to flow. And then, should it feel good to you, give your hands and your body permission so that your arms begin to hang down as you lean over and you stretch. Just stretch down, fully length down as far as that you're comfortable going, so that your arms dangle in front of your body. And then slowly, gently, easily, gracefully come back up, allowing the energies to disperse and align in your spine. You may even want to do a little bit of an arch, like a cat, whatever feels good to you. And if it feels right, you can even allow those arms and those hands to spread upward toward the heavens. And slowly and naturally arc them down, down, back to center again. You may even rotate or twist the body a bit. Follow your truth and notice your center of gravity as this occurs. Notice your middle, notice your core. Use your breath to harmonize and synchronize yourself internally. As you feel and notice your center, Trust all parts of that soul to evenly expand, to return safely and lovingly home as you breathe a little louder now. Allowing the sound of your inhales and your exhales to begin to vary in tone. Just trust that you're now tuning your God-given instrument, your vessel, using the sounds and the tones of your breath. Some of you might even want to sing to create this inner equilibrium. As you breathe, as you allow that breath and those intonations and that vibration to move through you, you may even sway or move your body a few more times as you gently stretch and move, still making sounds with your breath until you feel quite certain all of your trusting energies have fully returned inward and are home. For those of you who feel good to go, welcome back. For those of you who need a little more time, please do take that on your own here. Between now and the next module, continue to be gentle with yourself, follow your truth, trust and know that you've just reclaimed very valuable parts of you. Some of these self-trust energies made a really big journey. Some went back way, way long ago in terms of what feels like space and time. So please be patient as the energies reintegrate. So if there's any energies that you felt that kind of were hanging out off to the side, take some time to reflect on why that might be. Go within and gently call them home as they're ready. Be sure that you go slow with this. Always keep the inner work methods nice and bright. Always be sure that your mood is at least neutral, because we want to keep the boundaries of love and gentleness and kindness intact. This is why meditating on your own can be so valuable. And so please only watch this one more time. Trust the spring cleaning, that inner fall cleaning has occurred. And also go slow and patient by reclaiming areas of yourself that you might have noticed are still not quite ready to come back to center. Follow your truth on whatever feels good to you. For some of you, you're going to need to walk with it and reclaim it. For some of you, you notice that as you were stretching, oh, there it is, call it back home. So sing with it. Some of you need to sing to call it back home. Follow your truth on this. I will see you in the next module. And until then, be gentle with yourself. And congratulations on calling your self-trust energies home.